same thing as Twisted Fate, and especially when you look at, okay, there it is. I was going to say Camille Galio combos are pretty damn strong, but we're going to get both the Twisted Fate and the Camille ban. You can see Xiao Sheng, he's giggling away to himself, realizing, okay, we put a bit of fear into it.
And shout out to Emily Rand on Twitter, who was like, it'd be such an EDG thing to, you know, look good after they're outside of playoffs. It kind of feels like EDG are heading in that direction here against V5 for Game 2. I also like the Graves ban here, Weiwei's best champion, but they also take away Jeje's second best. But the Lee Sin again, let's go. Show me what else you got in the tank.
Well, honestly, I prefer the Volibear versus the Lee Sin, or Volibear in that Volibear Lee Sin matchup. So Weiwei getting his hands, I imagine, on this Volibear is going to do a lot of good for Victory 5. He's looked really strong on that pick. But also, as we talked about, the flexibility as usual to put up towards that top side. Mole might be looking towards this Syndra over that Zoe. And
takeaway.
And that's the thing, it's a takeaway, but it also does quite well into that Zoe matchup. We talked about it actually when we saw Mo lock in the Zoe last time around. So we're getting Mr. Number 4 coming in for Sam T as well.
Mr. Number 4?
Mr. Number 4.
What's that?
It's like Mambo number 5, but not as interesting.
Oh, okay. I thought it was something to do with the fast, and I thought, well, I haven't seen the latest meme then, have I? Good to see Jin back in the LPL meta. I'm not sure. I believe overseas we've seen a couple of games. I will do a bit of my research there, but I want to quickly pause because for EDG, a lot of this game so far in Pick Ban has been about takeaway. Sam D, you know, relies heavily on the Ashes we've seen with V5. The Bard is PP God's second best champion, if not his best alongside the Thresh. So they're running a bottom lane that looks very much like V5's previous games.
It really does, and it's got a lot of pick potential as well, because obviously long range Ash, that Bard as well can do a lot of work in just disrupting the likes of this Jhin, getting on towards the Syndra, and playing a pretty nice splitting up of the fight, especially when you're looking at V5, who usually with a composition like this would be looking to go towards team fights, or at least picking off people at these objective fights with long range deadly flourishes and stuns coming in from Mole and the Syndra.
Remember we talked heavily about V5, you know, being this early to mid game team that wants to snowball and essentially end games pre-30 minutes. Well, you can build it up here and how this game could go from V5, what they've already drafted. They don't have supports, which are going to be banned away by EDG, very specific towards PP God's favorites.
So the last time we saw a composition similar to this from V5 was actually against JDG in game number 3, and they ended up opting in for the Karma in the top lane. I'm curious to see if we'll see that once again for BuBu here, kind of a takeaway from Xiao Sheng to a certain extent as well. We're seeing a lot of attention anyway in the ban phases here towards the LeBlanc, towards the Zoe, bans away from Scout. And well, I'd be curious to see what Scout does go back to. Scout previously has gone for this Akali into this exact matchup, and has looked really, really good in it. So it looks like we will be getting an assassin for the mid lane.
I mean, Scout, this is the second time he's played it. Currently undefeated on it. No, that's what happens when you win a game. 12 KDA, just as fun stats to throw out. So it'd be interesting to see the Akali once again running into Mole. And now the plot thickens because we want to see what else can be run into this bottom lane. We still don't have a top laner, Dag. Do you want to talk about that flex?
That's what I was going to say, is the Karma has been played by BuBu before, but it looks maybe like this is going to PP God. We've seen once the Nautilus, the Thresh, the Bard are usually gone, he'll go towards the Karma or he'll go towards the Leona. But when you're against the Bard, having this Karma makes sense. Mage versus Mage, you got a good amount of push, and you can threaten a little bit more aggressive. And
a shielding support with Jhin is nice when you really become the fast, you know, that movement speed with Swifties is an extra little bonus, as BuBu's going to show us the Ornn once again. Was super fed in game number 1. Excuse me, words aren't with me today, but we've got an Ornn once more alongside the Volibear jungle. Now, what pairs with the Akali in the other solo lane?
Well, I think the Sylas could be the call here. Xiao Sheng has played it before, specifically into the Ornn matchup as well, and it looks like that will be the call. So, especially as we look towards, well, Xiao Sheng's previous experience on this champion and the change in Sylas where we're going for the fleet footwork with the Q-Max build, he actually can win out to a good amount in this top lane against the Ornn. We've seen the Sylas coming out and on top quite a bit now with this new change. So now Xiao Sheng has aggressive top lane. You've got a strong mid lane as well, where you can have these dive buddies work together between Xiao Sheng and Scout. And the TP plays that EDG will often do to find flanks when they're on a composition like this has been incredibly strong. And again, on V5 side, we're seeing two fairly immobile AD carries, not a huge amount of guaranteed CC as well. You'd be relying on Weiwei in a lot of situations to try and play the bodyguard for both Mole and Sandy.
And I'll also look towards Sam D. On the Jin once again, I want everyone to note they're tuning in to the LPL because, you know, today there isn't any LCK on. They're in the best region. They're getting the savant life, as I'm sure LS would not like to put it, but that's definitely how I'd put it. The Jin pick has become very popular in the LPL. Now that Varus has been toned down, we still know regions are playing on-hit Varus and still seeing him with Comet very rarely across the 4 major regions. Here in the LPL, Jin has played more than Varus. That's how prevalent he's been, especially into this Ashe lane. A lot of AD carries have been favoring it.
Specifically into this Ashe pick.
Yeah.
And it is interesting to see because the Jin loses out in the lane. Like, Ashe is actually a good counter to Jin in lane. It is more for when you get out of lane and you're able to play far back. You've got a bit of poke and a bit of engaging yourself with the Deadly Flourish. You can sometimes answer for the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but definitely having the Curtain Call to play far back, provide that long range shots, makes it a lot easier to play this AD carry, and then you can try and come in when those fights are kind of dissuading or falling apart.
I just love that we've got a bottom lane from both teams that have a lot of poke capabilities, right? Like, we've got a lot of range engage follow-up here. Jungle influence does seem quite interesting to me. Here from V5 and EDG as we jump onto Summoner's Rift. And guys, remember, V5 need this series win. I told you at the start of the show, it doesn't matter if it's a 2-0 or a 2-1. A series win here and then against Rogue Warriors will guarantee them into top 4. The team that was 0-16 in spring and got 1 individual game win from LNG. That's how bad they were in spring.
They hold the record.
Reaper.
They literally hold the record for the worst team in the LPL.
They are the Jin Air Green Wings of the LPL, except they got better in summer and didn't get relegated. We laugh at LCK because we're arrogant.
Yes.
Yeah? Is that what we are?
I mean, look, when you've got 2 trophies in the last 2 years, and then you're looking to add a third.
I love how we say we.
Gets to it.
Yeah.
Look,
And then
me personally, I've been heavily involved in this process. You know, coming over for 8 months. Whatever.
Do you understand?
LPL.
If LPL doesn't win Worlds this year, we look like absolute fools.
Look,
you know?
Everyone thinks I'm a fool anyway. So
no, they don't. No, that's me, bro. Hey, after game 1, they think that's me. Again, a nice little reset here. I'm glad we have different compositions running forward, and we're already seeing how PP God is playing out with this Karma, the poke that comes through early, as Mako didn't start with Cosmic Binding, the Temperate Shrine, what's it called?
The
Caretaker Shrine. Yeah, there we go. As while we are looking at that bottom lane with the early trading, we should be tracking junglers here. It does feel like a game where jungle influence is going to be crucial. JJ is on the bottom side clearing up from his blue, while it is a blue start on the top side for Weiwei. So opposite sides of the map to rear their heads in. And the first gank will be where we start tracking them further.
Well, it looks like anyway for the moment that BuBu's going to try and crash in this wave top side, so I'd be surprised if JJ can get a gank off that's up on the top lane. And with Weiwei clearing towards this bottom side, it looks more so about trying to make sure that Weiwei can get himself that Scuttle Crab on bot lane. But this Valley Bear has a much faster clear than the Lee Sin, so expect Weiwei to be able to have a bit more influence, especially when it comes to these early plays.
Dagda, as I'm about to sneeze, we see the mid wave pushed in and a bit of a ward put over the wall. It's okay. You know that time when you're about to sneeze and you hold it in, you feel pretty good, but you're also about to implode at the same time?
Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of tickling the back of your nose.
Yeah.
Like, it's there. It's not going anywhere.
No one's ever heard a caster sneeze on mic before. I think I could maybe
that has
set
definitely been the case.
Has it?
I'd imagine so. They sneak up on you sometimes.
Okay, all right. Well, there is a mute button, but not going to press it. Weiwei's actually traveled back topside, though. Now, that's already gone. JJ going to spot him out. Level 4 hit by Weiwei as he just walks over the scrying area.
And will just, swagger his way through mid lane.
he's got the setup for double scuttle again. You know, we talked about this in game 1, but it depended on the support influence. It's nice Scout of the week.
Yeah, Mole doing a good job of punishing this lane. Like, Scout is, at least with the fleet footwork, will be able to keep himself somewhat healthy, which is why we see the Akali take the fleet footwork. But with no mana left on Mole, now Scout is like, okay, cool, I can actually start to clear out these waves, get some creeps back in my favor. And it looks like Mole is going to back reset, use that TP, and try to keep punishing Scout in this lane.
Well, Mole has been a pretty good laner, as we've seen. Mole has just been a great player. I can't say this enough. Mole is a mid laner, highly underrated after the split he's had. Scout of the week dodged away from nicely from Scout, but with the combo through, Mole is, as you said, devastating Scout a little bit here. We'll get the shove. Scout does have TP though, so even if this wave crashes in, He can clear it and then back.
JJ does need to come across, though, to... Oh, hang on.
Orn.
Okay. JJ does need to come across, though, and give Scout a little bit of help here, because, as you can see...
Oi! It's not solo kill time, but it's pretty close. Pot used in the nick of time. Scout will now back. And this should be the wave pushing in. TP forced out, and maybe turret plating for Mole. Scout has to be careful.
Needs to be very careful. Just trying to see if you can get a little bit more go. Oh, Mo.
Well, this is the third time's the charm, as they say.
But it does mean, look, Scout has missed out on a bit of CS there. You can see a 6 CS lead, so essentially an entire wave for Mole when it comes to the CS lead. So nice job by Mole to keep this going. But here we talked about JJ wanting to get involved and see if he can help out. Well, looks like he's starting to move.
Oh, nice little deadly flourish to follow through. Guardian is proc, but Sam D has the 4th shot ready, fires it into Mako right in the booty. And the thing is, from this bottom lane, the poke is just hard to deal with.
Mole might be in a no man's land, though. Sorry, I know we're kind of looking at
Go on
bot,
top.
but I'm not sure where Mole... hasn't got a huge amount of mana, and Scout is following for a little bit.
Maybe enough for Scout of the Week that needs to land the knock up here with Searing Charge. Perfectly done. Wow. That's all the mana you need, Dagda.
Well played. Yeah, just needed enough for a Dark Sphere, and that's all she wrote. But JJ will try and answer now with this Ocean Drake on the bottom side. But already V5 getting off to these early plays and get some gold into the hands of Mole.
So now that we have first blood on a Syndra, no doubt, on Mole's best champion alongside his Zoe, things can start rolling off the ground for V5. EDG, their trade is going to be towards this dragon to kick the game off. And Mountain coming up second, so no Mountain Soul, which I guess this game as well for V5, they're probably hoping they'd get the opportunity at, but we have an Infernal or a Cloud Rift on the way.
So as we start to go into this game, we got to look at when all these guys come online, right? Because when you look at EDG, we talked about how they are definitely the ones that want to be finding flanks into these fights, especially when you've got like the likes of Kali, Xiaosheng on the Silas as well. Although Xiaosheng can do a reasonably good job of setting himself up for these scraps because he can nick away the Call of the Forge God, some of the, or even the ultimate from Weiwei as well. As I say that.
Might be called out. Stormbringer stolen away when Weiwei doesn't have his own one, used by Xiaosheng to relaunch. Scout picks up the kill, caught out in transition towards the Scuttlecraft.
And now JJ's going to try and come over. Mole needs to be careful. Looks like EDG will find a pick and run back.
Yep. The pick goes to Scout. Both mid laners now have a bit of gold in their back pocket as well, Dagda. So pretty crucial. Weiwei also didn't have flash from that topside ganker. Sam D in a bit of trouble with a low mana bar. 4th shot available. Flies through the magical journey as BuBu TPs to save his bottom laner.
This is still a bit messy for V5, though. They haven't been able to get this early game rolling as cleanly as they would like, and looks like maybe for JJ on this bottom side, on this top side, I'm still curious about this bottom lane.
Well, the Forge God used on Hope. He has flash available, burns it to get near the turret. Mako comes back into lane, but Sam D is not killable.
Xiaosheng has been up in this top lane completely solo, though, this entire time. BuBu's now got to back or start the long walk towards top lane. So he's missed out on a bunch of CS, and you're getting turret plates over for the Silas. But this is the fight that kicked it all off, and PP God, with that binding, manages to go down. So nice turnaround from Hope and Mako. Samzy going a bit aggressive there with PP God.
After all said and done, another kill over to EDG. I apologize for missing that one, but the kill does go over to Mako. And a gold lead here in the early game for EDG.
Exactly. This is coming from those kills, coming from the turret plates and that gold experience. Like, you've got a 10 CS lead now for Xiaosheng in this top lane because BuBu spent so long in this bot side.
Things are getting spammed down to Dagda. Almost called you dad. As JJ and Xiaosheng are on the wing. Now, JJ's going to be spotted out, so V5 are actually backing. Plus, we get the bonus of seeing the gold value of the Hawk shot on Ashe once again that we've talked about many times in the LPL. Sam D's moved up to the top side for this, so at 8 minutes, everyone coming in. BuBu's going to be spotted out in a ward in transition. He doesn't have TP, he doesn't have ulti. Sam D, through rotation, doesn't want to get caught out. Abscond abducted, chat across the arrow, flashed away from Curtain Call, stolen for the last tick of damage that doesn't connect. Now, a couple ultis down for EDG. They have to get out. Tempered Fate used to stop Sam D. Scout rolling in as well. Scout of the Week does do exactly that as Scout on top of PP God, who gets Shuriken flip to the face. V5 have low health bars. Scout once again. This Karma will die, and over the wall. Scout connects the final mark. Weiwei tagged to ult out in the end, and EDG have just taken everything with V5 able to do nothing.
And BuBu was far too late to this party. As you said, he was down on that bottom side, no TP available. Xiaoshang is willing to stay on this top side, says, we will trade a turret plate bot onto an Ornn for a big fight. They get the big fight, they get the Rift Herald, and EDG are really looking to take this series against V5.
And this is why you always talk about Scout within a series at some point, because Scout is that good old faithful mid laner who's never fallen out of the top 6. Great performance so far in this game as BuBu just walks in. He's decided he's really going to play the cosplay of Ornn. But out goes the Bard, who in Mako pulls the Rift Herald as well, and this is just such a big net advantage for EDG.
And look, you can see why Bard is so good against this Jhin pick as well, just able to use that Tempered Fate to stop SamD's ultimate. And then look, V5 are so damn spread out. I don't know why they tried to opt into this, not only because of how uncoordinated the engage was, but it's 4 versus 5.
Yeah.
Like, you do not have BuBu there, you don't have the Call of the Forge God at the time either, so strange calls coming through from V5, and maybe riding a bit high after their win from JDG.
At the very least for V5, this is some of their, I guess, the messiest gameplay we've seen, right? We looked at them versus, was it IG, I believe, where we saw one of their silly games as well. Suning was another good example. As, you know, silly games used lightly. Scout, I mean, dude, I've been playing a lot of Valorant recently, and it does really feel like, you know, the ultimate. Obviously, I haven't played enough if I don't know her name. I apologize. Moving on. Scout's got a lot of gold. And this is why someone shouldn't have given me the mic.
Is it Jet? No, Jet's the other one. I don't know. Either way, look, Scout is massive in this game. He's about 600 gold ahead of anyone on V5. He's trying to go toe-to-toe with Mole at the moment, as you can see, but 3 kills. Very quickly accelerated towards that Hextech Gunblade.
Oh, Tempered Fate connects on the tippy toes of Mole. He's against the wall. Sonic waved and dead. Stop giving Scout kills.
Scout is going to take over this game. There is no doubt in my mind. Now you've got this Rift Herald play from Mako, which is more to keep BuBu busy, so the rest of EDG can turn towards this dragon, but it looks like Scout, he wants to try and make sure he gets some of that gold. Vipers,
who was talking about, a searing charge against the wall with the Bellows Breath layer down. Here comes the Stormbringer at the ready. Sky Splitter for now is trying to get that Frenzied Maul combo. Call the Forge God layered down here. Jhin is off in the side, and the Call the Forge God return doesn't happen. TP burnt mid. They're like, hey, we got to get this Mountain Dragon. Let's get some stats.
V5 looking to see if they can try and set up this scrap, but Scout will be able to TP in. Doesn't really have any great wards to flank on, but at least has that one on the back of the mid lane.
Call the Forge God in the hands of Xiaoshang. V5 are grouped up. Scouts coming in. Here comes Xiaoshang. Layers up 3. Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Abscond him. Duck. V5 walking to their deaths. With the Searing charge out, I don't think he's out. And Scout with a couple more autos and a nice 5-point strike will lay it down to make it 7-1 at 12 minutes.
And the decision-making from V5 is atrocious in this game. It is a second dragon. It really doesn't matter if that goes over to EDG. But even the manner in which they approach this, you know you've got no Call of the Forge God. Your big engage tool is gone. It's not like you've got massive forms of engage then, unless Weiwei leaps into the middle of them. But even then, he's still only level 7. He's not like he's going to be able to tank all that damage coming through from EDG. And Scout now is 5-0-1 with a 500 gold bounty on his head.
With people like Mole and Sam D that are going to be cursing this game. Because we all know, we all play solo queue every now and then. We've all versed that Fed Akali. Where do you go? If you're in a lane by yourself, Akali's probably there.
And this is the thing. When you start to think about how V5's composition plays and when they come online, yeah, Mo will come on after the Luden's Echo. He'll look good for the next 2 to 3 items. But realistically, Sam D, you're waiting him to finish off with the Storm Razors. He's then going to be working up towards something like a Rapid Fire into that Infinity. He's like a lot of time away before he actually becomes relevant in terms of damage. And now the Xiaoshang is massively far ahead, and you've got Scouts super far ahead. It's really easy for EDG to play these side lanes and do exactly what they did in the last game. TP in on these flanks, because V5's front to back with BuBu on this Ornn has not been good this series at all.
The difference is that, you know, in game 1, at least BuBu was fed on the Ornn, right? He was a very reliable frontline because he took 3-4 members of EDG to kill. This time around, BuBu hasn't had the same resources. He hasn't been given the kills. Doesn't even have his first item at this point as the level 9 Ornn. So V5 very much on the back foot, 3,000 gold to the fact at 14 minutes. EDG are controlling all of this bottom side jungle, and they're preparing to dive the immobile Jhin and PP God all the same.
But you can see the pings have gone down. Okay, yeah, they will get them spotted, but still need to be careful. But at least V5 are respecting it.
Yeah, the respect important, it feels like, after all said and done. And they managed to fend off and defend the turret with Weiwei shadowing once again.
But again, this is kind of just buying a little bit more time for EDG, where they are getting some poke damage, they're getting control of the enemy jungle, they're getting a kill onto Mo.
Magical Journey, Tempered Fate gets the 2-for-1 package, but now Bubi's ultimate layers down through the mid lane, but no follow-up. The disengage ulti burn. And Mole now sticking around to wave clearers, and Chanacross the arrows flying through, Searing Charge away, Sonic Wave does still connect, the Bellows Breath unable to be channeled after that. It comes through, JJ saves it, and he's just dead again.
Yeah, Bubu goes down, and I mean, look, yeah, you got the Searing Charge to gain some distance, but I didn't see if the Bellows Breath was on cooldown to just absorb it and not hit the CC, but unfortunately Bubu, he gets caught out, and that means the EDG, another kill, and they got pressure on this mid, but it looks like instead they're going to reset and look towards this Rift Herald fight instead in just over a minute.
Well, the clock, you'd say, is ticking a little bit. We've got a Cloud Soul on the Rift. At the very least, if you're the team behind, you're saying that's okay, especially since V5 can pull up to 40% ult CDR, which again for their team would be great.
You say that, but look at the composition from EDG.
Yeah.
Like, Scout, with that speed up, is going to be super strong. Hope as well, Mako being able to reposition. Even JJ, to a certain extent, in helping him get that Dragon's Rage and then be able to... no, you didn't see that miss kick. It's fine. They missed Sonic Wave, but JJ being able to like reposition as well after getting the insect play, like, it's not... It's pretty substantial, even for Xiaoshang as well.
Again, like, you know, JJ could have amazing moments in the series and he could miss a Q onto a pretty stable target, right? It's the complexities of JJ as a jungler.
Everyone knows how small the Rift Herald hitbox is.
Yeah.
It is tiny. Like, I think it's actually the smallest one in the game, besides maybe like a Teemo Shroom, so
Agreed.
I can't really blame it.
I think at this point you just got to say, like, JJ, keep it up. You know, whatever up may be. V5 positioning around the bottom side, maybe ready for the dive onto Xiaoshang, who can steal away Wei's ulti. That's a crazy thing as well with Cloud Soul. Stealing the Volibear ulti, or even the Karma ulti, because remember with Karma ulti on Sylas, you press R and then you get one of the 3 abilities that she has. So the Mantra would be pretty nice. Yeah. The Inspire, sorry, which is the shield.
Yeah, it could be really, really good. And look, especially as we already said, looking at Cloud Soul, EDG can look to threaten that pretty aggressively. But the thing is as well, when it is a Cloud Soul like this, you don't have a big issue of, hey, we're going to let 1 or 2 of these go and play through these side lanes a little bit more, like we saw them do in game number 1. Sure. And then start to have Scout ramp up a bit more gold. Xiaoshang can start to work on these bottom lane structures as well. Like, EDG have so many options in this game about how they want to approach things, and looks like JJ is going to pop down this Rift Herald mid and try and crack open the first turret.
Xiaoshang's going to go back to bottom. Scout's just hovering up top, so at the very least crack this open and then back away for the 3rd dragon of the game. And more gold into EDG. They're almost at 5,000 at 18 minutes of the game, and for V5 you feel like at this point something amazing has to happen so that they come back into this one, as it might be Mole, might be Weiwei who's spotted out. Ash paying dividends once again.
I'm going to back away now on this bottom side.
Well, let's see. Call the Forge God stolen away, but BB does absorb a lot of the damage. Mako walking into blind vision, over the wall, taken, slam dunk by Wei to make sure that they trade the dragon somewhat.
They do get something back, and now you can have multiple members of V5 try and congregate around this top side, get the turret. You can see Sam D slowly but surely making his way up there as well. So Scout does have to be careful.
But how confident would you be as a 5-0 Akali versus 3? I'd say pretty confident.
Yeah, hunting guys, Hextech Gunblade. He's so far ahead.
Ooh, Sammy D. JJ has flash. Wants to come on in, call the Forge God, predicts it! Oh, yeah. Inject that into my veins. That feels great. As Weiwei's coming in over, JJ now might be caught out himself. The bear rolls towards him, flashes away from Scatter the Weak. And that was just beautiful.
That was so well played from Xiaoshang. And now EDG, once again, they are in the driver's seat so beautifully. 3 dragons, 9-2, a 5,000 gold lead. Like, where is this EDG? Where has he been?
And why is it here now? Why do we get it now?
JJ needs to be careful, but yeah, this is heartbreaking. This is what I wanted to see from EDG throughout the split, not just at the end of it. And now, yeah, look, they can add another win to their books, but at the end of the day, they're still out of playoffs. Even if they make it to that 8-8, there's no way for them to keep going.
Just nice.
Even 7.
You know he's going to flash, but still, it's without a hesitation, right? Always nice to see.
This is... And for V5, we got to reiterate, these are the guys that are looking to put themselves in towards that 4th place spot, trying to guarantee quarterfinals. It's not like V5 aren't trying in this game. It's not like it's a game that doesn't really matter for them.
Of course.
This is super important for V5 because this will be the game that they need to win alongside that Rogue Warriors one later on this week to give them the 10 points for that qualifiers for regionals as well. Like, this is insane.
So at the very least, after my, bit of research, I'm going to pause because mole positioning with Xiaoshang and way off to the wide. It relies a lot on Suning picking up their win. They still need to beat Rogue Warriors, but the absolute guarantee was EDG to hit 12 so that Suning could never catch up. Now,
and Suning are still to play FPX.
Suning still have 2 series stacked there. That's the problem. Suning can hit 12 themselves. They've got to verse Vici first, and then it's FPX. So for a team like V5, they will rely on FPX if Suning do beat Vici as expected. But they do also have to close out this game. 5k gold lead still there, 20 minutes in. We're 2 minutes away from a Cloud Soul for EDG very early on. Mole with the Scat of the Week wants to pull something here. Enchanted Cross arrows used into the tank who has to ulti away. V5 have used these ultis all game long to just escape.
And now you got JJ who's going to push in, steal away this red. V5 still looking to threaten though.
He's flashing over. Here comes TP as well from V5. Tempered Fate used onto the backline of Sam D. Scout just picks up the first kill. Goes into the Shroud. Invisible is he. While JJ runs on forward. And that's all EDG do. Going forward is in their name.
And they've just slaughtered V5 in that fight. They can turn towards this Baron. It's 21 minutes into the game. And it's a clean ace from EDG.
Everybody has pretty much gap closed. Thanks to the Bard as well. They'll walk forward into this Baron.
Look at the bloody scores. 4-1-3, 2-0-10, 7-0-5. You got support hope in this game as well at 0-0-10. Like, EDG are playing this beautifully. And Victory 5 look like they're the ones that have been knocked out of playoffs.
I mean, V5, just as a clarification, they are guaranteed in playoffs, but in this form, to make regionals is difficult. As V5 want to pick them off after the back, Hope is actually going to be taken down. A pick from V5 after Baron is good, but Xiaoshang delaying time while Mako and JJ are re-engaging. Sonic Wave doesn't connect. Scout is on the wing as well. V5 are getting buried low, and the problem is, if this Akali comes in, and it's only her, she can just take it all. Doesn't matter. Fight done again. EDG with another partial ace.
And now they get the perfect back timing as well to go towards Dragon. You've still got multiple seconds before V5 respawn, and EDG will easily net this Cloud Soul for themselves. And V5 go into this fight with Sam D. Well, this is the first fight where they try and make this play happen. Again, Mako shutting down Sam D with the curtain call. And you don't have the damage here. And again, I don't understand why V5 are consistently trying to make these plays. You still have Sam D trying to ramp up.
Uh-oh. Someone made a boo-boo. Well, he's just dead. His searing charge did nothing. And everyone else from EDG's like, let me at him. And look, this game was put in the toaster. Have you ever tried putting a corn thin? Like a corn into the toaster?
What's a corn?
Well, the little round circular, they're made out of corn, or they're made out of rice, like rice cakes.
Oh, rice cakes.
Yeah. The corn thins are the same, made out of corn. If you put that in the toaster, as I found out when I was 8 years old, they actually burn straight away, and the fire starts rising from the toaster.
And that's how you lost your first house, is that?
Yeah. When I was 8 years old, apparently I also owned a house. The biggest thing is, don't put those in the toaster. All right, V5 right now, they're the corn thin, they're on fire. And EDG, they're the ones sitting there going, you know what, I'm not going to unplug it, let's just let it burn.
Let's just see what happens here. Well, I mean, look, for EDG, it's been a fairly successful experiment as there's the pick.
Tempered Fate could net and seal the deal, call the Forge God, Mako flashes away, Hope really unscathed as forward they go with Xiaoshang with a volley bear ulti onto 2 turrets, and EDG dive from here with Scout absolutely destroying. Shuriken flips away, survives from the unleashed power. This game, well and truly sorted.
22-3, more than it was, 14,000 gold lead. This is unbeatable.
Oh, B5. You know what? I'm just going to say it. They got absolutely spanked. 22-3, a 25-minute win. And V5 are normally the teams that win at this point, but EDG put on a bit of a slobber knocker for us here today.
And EDG, we said, hey, look, they'd be coming in a little bit angry after Shubin couldn't kill that Nexus and keep themselves into